The only motive that there ever was to completely control a person that I found physically attractive.
Number 10. John Wayne Gacy. The Netflix documentary The John Wayne Gacy Tapes did a lot to point out the notorious serial killer's sociopathic tendencies when it came to shifting blame for his accused crimes.
Shoelaces, huh? You're in trouble now.
Yeah, right.
Aren't you afraid sitting that close to me?
This wasn't the first time evidence to that end has come out, however, as documented by this piece from CBS News 2 Chicago back in 1992.
I don't believe in hitting children. I don't believe in spoiling a child either. My values are such that if you give enough love to the children...
You're accused of murdering 33 kids and you say you didn't believe in hitting.
Interviewer Walter Jacobson doesn't need to do much talking in his encounter with Gacy, as it quickly becomes clear that the former Pogo the Clown is trying his best to present alibi after alibi for his innocence.
Bukovich is not one that I killed, so I don't know nothing about him.
Gacy himself is composed for the most part, although there is a moment where he demonstrates his infamous rope trick with a shoelace that echoes the methodology of his horrible crimes.
And you just turn this, and I says it causes a tourniquet. I said, that's the only knot I ever learned.
Precisely the kind of knot found on the ropes.
Number 9. Ted Bundy. Time can change many things about a person, including how they behave while being interviewed. The Ted Bundy featured in a 1977 jailhouse interview from KUTV News appears more in line with the suave yet cold-blooded reputation Bundy had among other notorious serial killers.
You feel that everything will turn out all right, that you are innocent. Do you still feel that?
Yeah, more than ever.
He smiles a lot during the piece and displays body language that appears relaxed and almost happy.
I'm not guilty. Does that include the time I stole a comic book when I was 5 years old?
Bundy keeps eye contact with his interview throughout most of their conversation, and it's easy to become lulled into a false sense of security, which was exactly Ted's intention.
If someone's crazy enough and nutty enough to do something like that, I can't stop them. There's nothing I can do.
Fast forward to the night before his execution, and we see a fearful and pensive Ted Bundy, a man seeking to shift blame for his crimes during his interview with Christian conservative evangelist James Dobson.
There are forces at loose in this country, particularly, again, this kind of violent pornography.
Number 8. Richard Ramirez. The Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, may be one of the most frightening serial killers of all time, not only due to the brutality of his crimes, but also the projected aura of what many perceive to be pure evil.
Yes, I am evil. Not 100%, but I am evil.
It's easy to see why during some of Ramirez's more notable interviews over the years, including one conducted with author Mike Watkis.
Serial killers do on a small scale what governments do on a large one. They are a product of the times, and these are bloodthirsty times.
Ramirez's somewhat tense responses to Watkis's questioning imply a coiled rage, an anger that's also exemplified by the Night Stalker's breathing as he seems to become annoyed with Watkis.
I'll tell you what, I gave up on love and happiness a long time ago.
Why?
I don't care to explain that. Let the quote stand for itself.
Ramirez is comparatively more relaxed during a piece with Inside Edition, although that interview also hammers home the Night Stalker's obsession with Satanism, evil, and the occult.
I believe in the evil in human nature. This is a wicked world, and in a wicked world, wicked people are born.
Number 7. Edmund Kemper. There's something truly bone-chilling about the matter-of-fact way in which the co-ed killer, Edmund Kemper, describes his past in the 1981 documentary The Killing of America.
Everything went towards killing him, and I didn't. But I'm saying, wow, it's uncanny. It was almost like it was meant to be that way, and I said, wow, this got to stop.
Kemper's impressive intellect and well-spoken nature belie the brutality of a man who committed his first murder at the age of 15.
And if it had been in a city, I would have been a mass murderer at age 15. I would have killed until they gunned me down. I wouldn't have been able to reason my way out of it.
The killer even makes a self-referential joke to his modus operandi of picking up hitchhikers by putting on a pair of glasses and asking the camera whether they would get into a car with him.
Now, would you get in the car with this man? Huh?
Kemper's mental state comes across as perpetually active, like a bubbling pot of water about to boil over, while the documentary's exploitative narration pushes the creep factor of this one over the top.
I am an American, and I killed Americans. I am a human being, and I killed human beings. And I did it in my society.
Number 6. Jeffrey Dahmer. There's no barely repressed rage within the demeanor of Jeffrey Dahmer as he discusses his history with interviewer Stone Phillips.
And I acted on my fantasies, and that's where everything went wrong.
Nor are there any wild headline-grabbing theatrics. Instead, Dahmer's quiet and soft-spoken recounting of his horrible crimes lends the piece that much more power.
The only motive that there ever was to completely control a person that I found physically attractive.
There's the power of shock as he discusses the failed attempts at creating, quote, living zombies with the remains of his victims.
The killing wasn't the objective. I just wanted to have the person under my complete control.
There's also the power of how Dahmer's moments of shocking violence are undercut by the killer's regret for the decisions he made, and the futility of what seemed to be a date with infamy and destiny.
Once it happened the first time, it just seemed like it had control of my life from there on in.
Number 5. Gary Ridgway. Gary Ridgway, aka the Green River Killer, was one of the most prolific of all American serial murderers.
So I whipped out my ID, and with my ID would be I put my finger over my driver's license to hide my name.
Ridgway was also perhaps one of the most unrepentant, a sentiment that's placed front and center during any of his interviews.
A picture of my son. They would know I was a probably normal person.
Take, for example, one he did with FBI psychopathy profiler Mary Ellen O'Toole, where he very calmly describes how he would gain the trust of his victims.
The only thing that would be better than that would be to have your son in the car with you. That would be an incredible ruse.
That happened once.
O'Toole manages to get Ridgway talking in depth about his past, his upbringing, and the dozens of victims attributed to the Green River Killer's rampage. Number 4. Charles Manson. There has been a wealth of interview footage of Charles Manson released over the years, much of which can be used as evidence for the man's often unhinged persona.
Do you feel blame? Are you mad? Do you feel like
And there's a lot of that here from this 1987 interview with Today correspondent Heidi Schulman.
I wouldn't do anything that I felt guilty about.
You don't feel guilty at all?
There's no need to feel guilty. I haven't done anything I'm ashamed of.
However, there's also this intent to shatter the myth of Manson as a leader, and this is aided by the visual of Manson's scattershot presence during the interview.
Maybe I should have killed 400 or 500 people, then I would have felt better. Then when I felt like I really offered society something.
Although the occasionally violent outbursts by Manson have been well documented in this piece, it's the more soft-spoken sound bites that reveal more about the man's own admitted failures and shortcomings.
My awareness and my consciousness is not the same as somebody that goes to school and has a mom and dad. See, not having parents have left me in another dimension, so to say.
Number 3. Otis Toole.
I like to say a whole city burned down.
This interview with Otis Toole is the stuff of nightmares. There are a lot of reasons for this too, not the least of which is Toole's explosive bursts of laughter and absolutely chilling smile.
What do you prefer in life? Sex or fire? Or I like both.
Additionally, there's the explicit nature of how Toole describes his past crimes, and how he and former associate and fellow killer Henry Lee Lucas seemed to easily disassociate the value of human life.
It's just like butchering a hog, you see, a cow. Ain't no difference.
The grainy and blown-out AV quality of this interview footage only seems to add to the feeling of grime and filth left over by Toole's gleeful accounts and delivery.
Ain't nothing to it. It's like drinking a cup of coffee, smoking cigarette. Once you get into the habit, you do it more and more.
Number 2. Issei Sagawa.
で、たまたまそれが肉屋さんの旦那さんと奥さんで、太って愉快な、ご主人でしたけど、動物の解体の仕方とか肉の切り方とか詳しく教えてくれました。
Unlike the majority of our other entries, Issei Sagawa isn't technically a serial killer. However, This interview footage from Vice is too disturbing not to make our list.
でも彼のおかげで、ロンダにエッチな気持ちっていうかセクシー
Sagawa's history and dark deeds are detailed in the documentary, while Issei himself describes the premeditated shooting and devouring of his classmate René Hartefeld while he was living and studying in France.
で読んで彼女読んだけどどうしてもやっぱり普通に話してる時はニコニコして話してて。
Sagawa's obsessions are also detailed in the piece, as well as the legal loopholes that allowed the killer to escape prison time for his actions. Sagawa's quiet and fragile demeanor undercuts his words, all spoken in equally hushed and inoffensive tones. It is a frankly horrifying and unbelievable story.
男じゃなくて綺麗な女性に殺されたい。もちろんそれはファンタジー。
Number 1. Aileen Wuornos. This interview with Aileen Wuornos on the eve of her execution is disturbing for a number of reasons.
I'm okay. God is going to be there. Jesus Christ is going to be there. All the angels and everything.
For starters, there are the crimes for which Wuornos was convicted, but there are also the stories Aileen tells about her treatment in prison.
They had the intercom on in the room, and they kept lying that it wasn't on, and they were using sonic pressure on my head since 1997.
Her accusations of sonic torment and food tampering speak to her paranoia and mental state during this time.
And then one day I didn't wash my food off and I was sick for 3 weeks, almost died.
A state that gradually reaches a fever pitch during the interview.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I lost my life because of it. Couldn't even get a fair trial.
Wuornos' face as she directly addresses the camera is chilling, and the audience can only stare back into her eyes as the condemned killer accuses society of, quote, railroading and, quote, sabotage.
2019, a rock's supposed to hit you anyhow. You're all gonna get nuked.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.